Yeah, so I guess we'll literally just read it and then I'll comment on anything. Mac approach. Mac approach. Mindfulness, acceptance, commitment approach. I personally used to have a very, very difficult time performing in tournament to the point that I developed a strong dislike for singles and rarely, if even, entered anything but doubles. Soft recommended The Mental Game of Poker to me. Very good book. I've not read it. And it helped my conceptualization significantly, but I still had lingering issues. I decided to research more and eventually came across the MAC model. I read the book, took notes, and completed a course through mindgames.gg. Since integrating the MAC approach, my mental game is my strongest asset. I use the principles every day and haven't found anything else that approaches its usefulness or efficacy. It is, to my knowledge, the superior mental tool. I guess, let me change my title. What should I make the title of the stream? What's like good clickbait? Never tilt again? Question mark. Optimal mentality in Melee. It's no longer good morning. It is morning, but Melee mentality discussion. Melee mentality. Exclamation points. That's what we're going with. Following, I will present a summary of MAC principles. It's necessary to stress that knowing the principles is completely different from internalizing them, but reading and seeing just how cohesive the system was very exciting for me, so an illustration of the model is merited. Completely agree. But if you think that it's important to like understand the model, understand why it's strong and good, and then also understand that you have to put in work forever to achieve it. The psychology context. In sports psychology, it is generally accepted that personal superior performances are a product of total concentration marked by a peak or flow state. For this reason, it has been more and more common for athletes to undergo psychological skills training designed specifically to best achieve a peak performance state. Traditional psychological skills training in sports uses methodology including goal setting, imagery, mental rehearsal, arousal control, self-talk, and pre-competitive routines to enhance performance by attempting to rein in peak states to a replicable routine, as well as reduce anxiety and negativity psychological roadblocks. However, these approaches carry subtexts implying A, that negative internal states must be controlled or reduced before a positive internal state can take their place and set the stage for flow, and B, that flow is a fickle mistress impossible to achieve without perfect preconditions. Neither of these hold up to recent research, and these traditional methods have been demonstrated to have no or even negative empirical support, i.e., they don't actually work. The MAC approach, a development of acceptance and commitment therapy for sports, is a program of psychological skills training designed to remove this subtext and teach relevant, empirically supported skills. Rather than remove or control internal states, MAC aims to enable our control over focus and behavior despite internal states. That is not the avoidance of negative states, but the degree of experiential acceptance that enables peak performance states. Okay, I feel like I just read so many words and meant nothing. But yeah, rather than remove or control internal states, MAC aims to enable our control over focus and behavior despite these internal states. This is the key to all of mindfulness, basically. It's not about not being mad. It's not about not being tilted. It's not about like not having anxieties. It's about being angry, being tilted, but controlling your focus anyways. You don't have to not be able to focus because you're mad or happy. It doesn't matter. Your focus should be trained separate from the surrounding emotions. It is not the avoidance of negative states, but the degree of experiential acceptance that enables peak performance states. MAC has seen increasing use and study over the past decade, including in Olympic athletes, tennis players, and professional basketball, volleyball, and even esports teams. And then also like CEO type performance people and stuff. But it's proven to be like some good shit. Mindfulness and acceptance. It is tempting to identify our thoughts as ourselves and our emotions as pervasive. But in reality, these are small events in a much broader landscape. Thoughts and emotions are just flashes of chemical/electrical activity, not so different from other sensations as sounds, touches, gravity, temperature, balance, vision, etc. All of these can be understood as internal states. Internal states, including thoughts and emotions, are like water bugs skirting over a much greater depth. They come and they go. They are inherently temporal. Also crucial. Fixation on internal states can be disastrous for performance. Imagine that there's a parade of internal states in front of you. If you fixate on one thought/emotion/etc., even after it passes, you can't respond to those that follow. You've created a mental traffic jam between your focus and the new present. This is why it's so easy to fall into a downward mental spiral. So true. Bro is spitting. If the goal for sports psychology is to maintain a high focus present moment/task orientation, i.e. peak/flow state, then the foil is a self/future/past orientation. The emphasis of traditional sports psychology is to censor or to remove potentially harmful internal states so that they can't interfere with your focus. But remember, the emphasis of Mac is to engender the skill of maintaining your focus despite internal states. Engender the skill of maintaining your focus despite internal states. It's not about changing the internal state. It is about having the skill of maintaining your focus be a separate thing than internal states. You don't have to be feeling good to be focused. You don't have to. You don't have to feel good to practice being focused. In fact, if you only practice being focused when you're feeling good, it's really gonna not be that helpful if you're feeling bad, because they just need to be separate. There is no reason to censor your feelings angry. There is no reason to censor your feeling angry any more than there is reason to censor feeling cold or hearing someone talk. You've already experienced those things. They're already there in your mind. This relates to my post on tilting. It's a bit ridiculous and small-minded to worry about censoring every little bump in the road. It's also mentally taxing and actively turns our attention from the task to the self. If instead we see and accept temporal internal states for what they are, then they have no power and there's no need to censor them. This work is done primarily by dispelling cognitive fusion. Focus while angry, sad, irritated, happy. It is broken. It is. Mindset and mentality is your favorite part of the game because Melee's gameplay has so much self-expression. Yeah, it's very interesting. Cognitive fusion. Cognitive fusion is the habitual act of treating thoughts as though they are what they say, as opposed to treating them as the simple internal states that they are. Reacting to feelings as if reality is what you feel. Reacting to thoughts as if reality is what you think. When put this way, it's easy to recognize how inherently irrational cognitive fusion is. Thoughts are not reality, they're just thoughts. Feelings aren't reality, they're just feelings. Now it's just a matter of making it a habit to, by way of mindfulness, consistently recognize the onset of cognitive fusion and to instead perceive reality as it is. This is simply a less reactive and more accurate way to engage with the present moment. Within Mac, you accept that your emotions occur naturally and for the most part uncontrollably. Instead of wrestling with your emotions in order to set the stage for your mental state, in order to set the stage for correct behavior, you simply commit to correct behavior. Yeah, regardless of the states. It's okay. If you all remember one thing from this stream, one thing, it's not I feel/think blank so I act. It's I feel or think whatever and I act. They're just separate. Example, thinking I can't work with this person isn't necessarily reflective of reality. This is a great example. Thinking instead, I am thinking that I can't work with this person is unfused. It doesn't buy into habitual schema and instead allows you the opportunity to divorce your focus and behavior from mindless reactivity. The capability to make mindful, reality/value-based choices rather than mindless ones is mental toughness or poise. We define mental toughness as the ability to act in a purposeful manner systematically and consistently in the pursuit of the values that underlie performance activities, even and especially when faced with strong emotions that we as humans naturally want to control, eliminate, or reduce. Imagine yourself in a last hit scenario. You feel psychological arousal, fear, excitement, anxiety. Now you're going to make a choice between correct behavior, clutch, or letting your emotions dictate your focus and behavior, choke. Commitment/value-driven behavior. If you aren't basing behavior reactively on internal states or schema, then what are you basing it on? In the MAC model, you base your behavior on a system of values. Values are distinct from goals, as values are principles used to enhance experience and behavior, whereas goals are endpoints that direct experience and behavior in a direction, but diminish the present moment experience. This is basically a destination versus journey orientation. In sports, the method is the body and the end. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Similarly, how you use your time or effort determines the value of that time spent. Consider, what do you want to get out of this time spent? Why? Why is important? You can win a set and choke? For sure. You can. That makes it that is an even better framing. Similarly, what do you want to get out of this time spent and why? You very much need to know the why. And number 2, what would you want someone to say in your obituary if you died tonight? Sheesh. 3, how do you want your effort to be remembered? 4, what matters to you in your sport/occupation? The answer to these questions identify our individual values, what inner game of tennis identifies as the inner game. Engagement with these values not only makes our time and effort spent more gratifying, but also provides direction for behavior independent from internal states, including motivation. Success in the inner and outer game is a measure of our commitment to our performance values. Avoidance. The alternative to commitment is avoidance. When the going gets tough or confusing, it's natural for humans to avoid difficulty. It's an evolutionary necessity. Just like I avoided entering tournaments to avoid feeling disappointed in myself, it is extremely easy for us to shy away from trying or painful situations, and we often engage in avoidance without even realizing it. Every time we do, we are coloring, if not determining, our behavior with avoidance. But it is important to recognize that the cost of avoidance is growth. We got 28 people in here right now. I am sure at least one of you plays a lot of unranked, but says they want to get better at Melee, and then their avoidance of solo practice or VOD review or just focused friendlies is hindering their growth because you're avoiding the hard parts of improving at Melee by throwing your time at unranked mindlessly. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe y'all are all goated in here, but just be honest with yourself. It's impossible for humans to learn without stretching their limits. We have to brush up against what we can't do and extend into the impossible in order to grow. The mentally tough athlete leans into difficulty and embraces it, accepts it, not as problematic, but as an opportunity. That's exciting. It's best conceptualized as akin to weightlifting. The value of lifting weights isn't in having hoisted something heavy. It's in overcoming the difficulty in order to grow. By recalling our values, persevering through pain and difficulty, and managing to do something at the edge of our capability, our muscles get stronger. That's the worth. I've been playing with this little like Z button thing, Z button spring, because I broke my controller. I kinda can't avoid disappointment by avoiding unranked. Avoid disappointment by avoiding unranked. Fair. Can't lose if you just beat up a computer forever. You're avoiding something. In Mac, difficulty takes an identical role. The bulk of Mac training is done through open monitoring meditation. In this meditation, you develop awareness and practice your capacity to direct your focus despite internal states without succumbing to the temptation to avoid them, and to recover that focus readily and with forgiveness when it wanders. You accept the states as they come and go and commit to the attention training. Every time we overcome a bad mental habit, every time we redirect our focus and behavior from reactive to valued, it's a rep and we get stronger. Conclusion: by rooting itself in open monitoring meditation, the MAC approach develops a lasting and pervasive utility not only for sports, but also for life goals and day-to-day experience. It takes and instructs the perspective that success is not a matter of what you are, rather that what you are is a reflection of what you do, of how you do, a reflection of how you do, as informed and motivated, i.e. cultivated, by your commitment to value-driven behavior. This kind of approach is both liberating and empowering. It provides tools to make meaningful progress in the pursuit of excellence as well as fulfillment, and does so with a model that is elegant, comprehensive, cogent, and enjoys empirical support. I, for one, have a fuller, competitive, and otherwise life for it. Me too.